Do you mind answering some questions for me to help?
The eye line was interesting. At first for me, I was thinking that maybe that was going to be an issue as far as what they're doing on the computer, like following their mouse, for example. If you're on a computer and you're following your mouse, I think your eye does track it a little bit, but not enough. I thought maybe it'd be more noticeable. The only time that the eye lines really mattered were when the actors were looking at a specific screen. So if one actor was on screen, but he was looking at somebody on the top left corner, because that's where their Skype app was, then he would have to look up and to the left. And so there was times where we had to make sure that the app, we would talk to the editor, oh, it's going to be up here, cool. Then we're going to put we're going to adjust that and put that actor's camera on that side as well, so that it would match up a little bit. But other than that, they're looking either into the camera, either directly into the camera or at their screen. So there's really not much eye movement that would be a problem down the line.
And in some countries, you can't just release the English language version. So, for instance, with the Unfriended Dark Web, the distributor came to us saying, we are releasing this movie in Spain, we are releasing it in Russia, we are releasing this movie in France, so we need the French version and all the versions in certain languages. And we basically just take it down, the entire movie, and then put it back together, but in a different language, which is a pretty interesting job because, let's say, for instance, searching, right? They had this special position in the movie, in the crew, called the director of virtual photography, right? When the editors were controlling the movement of a camera. So when it came to localizing the movie, it was not just about, oh, let's translate it and just punch in the text and it's going to be a different movie that we need. No, it was way different. It was an actual like puzzle because every word length in every language is different. And so let's say the camera moves around because it needs to focus your attention to these two words, these specific two words over there. And in, let's say in French, they're too long. So you have to figure out what to do. So every time they had to move the camera around to make sure it's still dramatic, it's still in full sync with the music and with the entire tempo of the movie, and which is also fun part. No one thinks about it, but it's the essential part of the movie making process here.
With the original movie Unfriended, we had screened the film for different distributors and buyers, and at the time no one knew what to do with it, what to make of it, and we thought there might never be a world where we get to release this film. And then we were fortunately able to premiere it at the Fantasia Film Festival in Montreal, where it was received well by fans and by press, and we used that momentum to come back to distributors and ultimately got a really exciting release with Universal.
As for profile, we wanted the actors, when they were Skyping, for instance, we didn't want to record them separately. So with, let's say, Valine talking first to herself and then Shazad doing the same. So we wanted them to talk to each other. And in order for it to feel real, what we did, we created a replica of the intranet of that time when they were Skyping, because the story takes place in 2014. And if you think about it, the internet changes every month, something new changes about the internet. There's a new logo here, there is a new function there. So when we tried to create the this, let's say, cloud-based intranet for them, we realized, oh my God, it's just different nowadays. People are gonna just point it out. They're gonna say it's not real. So we had to recreate the entire 2014 intranet. I mean, certain sites were done in this replica of the 2014 web that was cloud-based. So the actors were going, when they were going online, they were ending up in this internet from the past. And they were really using all the apps, all the software the way it was supposed to be in 2014. So that was very, very unique. And for instance, we also had a scene in the movie that is one of the most intense scenes actually, when our main character is talking to one of the terrorists, and he's in Syria and she's in London. So that scene was very special because we had some of the crew in LA, some of the crew in London, one end of London. The actress, she was also in London, but in a different location. And the actor who was playing the terrorist, he was in Cyprus. All of it was happening simultaneously. They were connected to each other, and they were really talking to each other with all those glitches, lags. So it was slightly slowing down. The connection was bad, but we were still recording it because it was really intense. Because the scariest thing is actually not the way how you communicate with the people, with the person. It's what happens during those glitches, because you're really afraid to lose something, just to miss something during those poor connection moments. And it worked out. That moment is that sequence actually is one of the most powerful in the entire movie.
With searching, we pre-visualized the entire movie before we shot it. Every scene was cut with temp actors. In this case, it was the director was playing every role in the film. And we were able to use that to hone in timings and what types of shots were needed, so that going into production, we knew exactly what we needed and could make the best use of a very limited shooting schedule.
When you're making a Screenlife movie, director's position and editor's position are very important. They're basically absorbing part of the DP's position, they're taking part of the production designer's positions, because, like, let's say you need to tell a story about a person without telling a single word. So you came up with his desktop, and it's the director who usually comes up with all those ideas. Oh, we need to have this photo in the background because it's going to stress the fact our character, let's say, stubborn or very ambitious, and he needs to have this kind of avatar, and he needs to have this kind of apps installed already. So all those things, usually it's a production designer who comes up with all those ideas. When it's a traditional movie, right? You just dress the set and do something like that. But in this case, it's a director who is doing all that, and the editor, of course. So it's also a very unique thing about Screenlife.